Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem has been very busy this week getting in front of microphones trying to save her job. Yesterday, she was in Southern California to trumpet the department's good work as its funding is about to lapse. But the event was drowned out by a throng of protesters outside blasting whistles and bullhorn sirens.
Okay, good. Good afternoon, everybody. I think you're asking about detention facilities and the standards in it. Are you talking about our funding bill? I heard you ask about Operation Metro Surge and CBP and ICE, and what was the 287G?
A little hard to make it out, but that did not stop her. Today, Noem held a press conference in Phoenix claiming that DHS is now an election police force.
Although the Constitution gives states the primary responsibility for running their elections, Congress also gives authorities and duties to the federal government. Now, as the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, those authorities lie within my department, and the responsibility lies with me.
Somehow, the constitutional republic managed to stand for more than 200 years without a Department of Homeland Security to oversee elections. I got to say, right now, Kristi Noem is, and believe me, it's crowded, frontrunner for the worst, most incompetent and inhumane cabinet member of my lifetime. She's trying harder than ever to project strength because she's unpopular, and this is important, even within the Trump administration. The latest evidence of that comes from one of the most devastating pieces of political reporting I can remember. A new investigation into the bizarre behavior of Noem and her unofficial number two, Trump confidant and accused sexual harasser, Corey Lewandowski. According to this incredible piece in the Wall Street Journal, who spoke with multiple administration officials, Noem and Lewandowski are causing chaos in DHS, berating senior staff, giving polygraph tests to employees they do not trust, demanding expensive perks, like extremely expensive perks, and in one case, firing a U.S. Coast Guard pilot after Noem's blanket was left behind on a plane, according to people familiar with the incident. The piece also deals with Lewandowski and Noem's close relationship, noting how, quote, after photos in the Daily Mail showed Lewandowski going back and forth between his apartment and Noem's across the street last year, the secretary moved into a government-owned waterfront house on a military base in Washington. The pair, who are both married to other people, have publicly denied the reports of an affair, but people said they do little to hide their relationship inside the department. The DHS spokeswoman said the department doesn't waste time with salacious, baseless gossip. The Journal noted also that Lewandowski and Noem have lately been using a luxury 737 MAX jet with a private cabin in back for their travel around the country, according to people familiar with the matter. A $70 million plane that, in official documents, is earmarked for high-profile deportations, sources told the paper. At the same time, the story relates how even red states like Florida and Georgia have been waiting on funding from DHS for emergencies they've had, because Noem and Lewandowski have reportedly taken a lead role in reviewing contracts. At one point, I think all contracts over $100,000 had to cross her desk, and several officials inside the department said contracts and grants are being awarded in an opaque and arbitrary manner. And it appeared Noem was keeping tabs on how much TV time she got. Journal says she routinely berated staff if she saw border czar Tom Homan on TV and kept track of both of their appearances to make sure she was on TV more than him, according to people familiar with the matter. The DHS spokeswoman, who would only speak on background, said that was false. And then there was the blanket incident, in which Noem had to switch planes after a maintenance issue was discovered, but her blanket wasn't moved to the second plane, according to people familiar with the incident. The Journal writes, the Coast Guard pilot was initially fired and told to take a commercial flight home when they reached their destination. They eventually reinstated the pilot because no one else was available to fly them home. Imagine how quiet that flight home was. Then, in an incident last year that rankled some senior staff of the agency, Lewandowski, who is not a regular government employee at all, he's not a law enforcement officer, made it known to top ICE officials that he wanted to be issued a law enforcement badge and a federally issued gun, according to people familiar with his push. MS Now has independently confirmed that story. A top ICE lawyer declined to sign off on giving Lewandowski a gun, and days later he was placed on administrative leave. He was later demoted and moved to FEMA, the people said. Lewandowski never got that gun. But the Journal says he has been spotted by DHS staff sporting a badge emblazoned with the words Homeland Security. These are not the acts of ordered minds. And it is all happening as DHS is on the verge of an agency funding shutdown tonight, because there is a very real debate over whether to further fund a massive and growing police force of armed, masked agents that have been marauding American cities and streets, disappearing people, killing people on camera, and then lying about it. They are also planning a nationwide expansion of detention camps, as we are getting more evidence day by day by day of absolutely inhumane conditions at the camps ICE already has. The latest evidence comes from Seamus Culleton, an Irish national who has a legal work permit and is married to an American, but who has been held in an El Paso detention center for 5 months. He called into an Irish radio show to describe the conditions there.
The best way I could describe it is probably like a modern-day concentration camp. I've been locked in the same room now for 4.5 months. I've had barely any outside time, no fresh air, no sunshine. I'm in fear for my life down here, honestly, because people have been killed by the staff here, by the security staff, and you just don't know what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis.
A modern-day concentration camp. That's the characterization of an individual who's been in that camp for 5 months, barely able to go outside. So think about that. The department that runs that facility, the one that killed 2 Americans in front of all our eyes and then proceeded to slander them gleefully. The one that just shot a space laser at a bunch of Mylar Valentine's balloons and endangered civilian aircraft and claimed it shot down a cartel drone. The one that's run by a self-absorbed politician and her special friend with a special badge. That is the department that wants continued funding from Congress. Now, let's be clear. Democrats don't have a majority in either house. They do not have a ton of leverage here. They may not be able to sustain the cessation of this funding, a shutdown of the agency, for very long. They got to keep, almost all their members. They can't allow for 8 defections. And even in a shutdown, DHS is sitting on this enormous amount of money from Trump's terrible big bill. But here's one idea. I'm just going to throw it out there. It is possible for Democrats to say, along with the demands they have for changes to the behavior of DHS officials, that there's not another cent for a DHS run by Kristi Noem. Absolutely not. She's already unpopular in this administration. You can sort of see that in the reporting. Would removing her and Corey Lewandowski magically solve all the problems? No, absolutely not at all. No way. Would it be a victory politically and morally to actually force one of the worst Trump 2.0 cabinet members to resign in disgrace? Absolutely yes.